Let's talk about the small stuff. Over the past year, I've been thinking about a really minimalist everyday carry system. Now, in reality, how bare can you go when it comes to your everyday stuff? And for the past year, I've been finding out that I can survive on a very bare minimal urban setup. In all honesty, it's quite difficult to have all those wonderful toys in your pockets, and it gets to be heavy to the point where your pants actually sag or you have too much kit on your belt or stuff like that. Even with the work that I do right now, it's also a pain to have a bag or an EDC bag on you. So I've been thinking about really shrinking the kit into something that I can actually put on a keyring and get by with just that. And in reality, I'm finding out that yes, I can survive on a very bare minimal setup. To start with, the project began a few years back. I converted a Leatherman Micra into something more of a toolbar. The scissors stopped working, stopped functioning. I don't know, for whatever reason they became dull and wouldn't cut anything at all. So I decided to split the Leatherman Micra and retain only the tools that I know are quite useful on a daily basis. So with that, I retained specifically one of the flathead screwdrivers, the blade, the combination bottle opener and screwdriver tool, the nail file, and the Phillips screwdriver. Now, initially I took out the blade just for the sake that I could probably bring this on a plane, but I decided to retain the blade simply because there are days when I don't like to carry even a Swiss Army knife, and I got by on just this little thing. And I'm finding that I'm having the most utility out of this tool from among all my EDC stuff. And yeah, I'm enjoying just having this around when I'm around the city, going in and out of the train or something. And it works. It actually works. So I decided to keep this thing around, and it stays with me almost 99% of the time. Even when I'm around the house, I'm finding a lot of use for this tiny little tool. So as far as a blade and a multi-tool are concerned, this just about fills in most of my needs. Of course, I can complement that with a small pair of scissors and a small pair of pliers, but that's about it. In as far as a cutting tool and a blade are concerned, I have all of that in the small 50% Leatherman Micra. But what about for lighting? So in the past, I could never leave the house without any of my Solar Force lights, or this Olight baton, or even my Lumintop FW3A. It was very difficult to leave the house without tools like this. So to complement the Micra, I settled on the Jet Beam Mini 1. It's a tiny little stainless steel flashlight. And one of the things I love about it is, aside from being multifunctional, aside from being tiny, it can be charged with a USB-C cable. Like I said in a previous flashlight video, I would rather use my power banks on my flashlights rather than my phone. So with the Jet Beam Mini 1, what do I get? I can go from a really low mode to as high as 550 lumens. And in between, I have a UV light function, ultraviolet light function, which is quite a novelty. I can charge my luminous devices like my watch, and I can check on paper money bills. In addition, I have multicolored strobe functions on this. So I can probably use it while hiking. I can use it when I'm on the bike. And because it has a red light, I can probably see in the dark or find my way in the dark and read stuff like a map or some other thing that needs to be illuminated. But all in all, I have most of the functions I need in a really tiny package like this. And instead of putting it on a keyring, I carry it separately with its own clip. One reason why I carry it separately is because I don't like having my light and multi-tool in the same package. I don't see the logic in multi-tools or Swiss Army knives that have a light on them, because for me, these two have to be separate tools. For example, if I was using a screwdriver, I have to have a separate light. It's just the way I like to do things. For another, Swiss Army knives with the light on it aren't exactly waterproof. So if you get those things wet, there's a possibility that you might damage your illuminating device on the Swiss Army knife, which is why I like to keep these things separate. And every day that I get to use this particular combo, to use these particular tools, I'm finding that I'm relying less on the bigger counterparts, simply because I can stuff these things in my pockets and be off to the races just like that. Even the smallest flashlights with a clip like this lumen top can get to be bulky if I'm going on a really bare bones setup. Now, don't get me wrong, I still like using full-size knives like my Cold Steel Pro Light. For really serious cutting tasks, I still love these, but when I go about my business every day, I'm still finding the smaller tools more useful than the bigger ones. And besides, it's less threatening to pull out something like this than to pull out something as big as this. That's just how things are right now. This kind of philosophy is more for people who live around polite environments and they really can't EDC the full-size folders or stuff like that. So if you're considering building your own everyday carry system that can go most everywhere and do most of what you need to do, then consider this small package that I've come up with. And the biggest benefit of all is I feel a certain sense of flexibility and freedom when I carry just those. But anyway, you may or may not like it. That's simply what I came up with in 40 odd years of being an EDC practitioner. So that's the way things are for me at this particular juncture. At any rate, that's been the long and the short of it. This has been Absabando for Manila Sentinel. Raw. Dare to go bear.